What's up, friends? It is almost Turkey Day and I'm getting excited. I am making a Turkey Day classic today, sweet potato casserole with a little bit of a twist. So the traditional sweet potato casserole obviously has it's the sweet potatoes and it has the little marshmallows on top where you put them in the broiler and they get all nice and toasty. So there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. But I started making my sweet potato casserole this way a couple years ago and I love it. So I'm gonna show you guys what I do. I'm gonna start with the base, the sweet potato first. I have about 4 cups of cooked mashed sweet potatoes in here and 1 stick, which is half a cup of softened butter. Now this is going to be enough for a 13 by 9 dish, so this will feed, I would say, easily like 8 to 10 people because you're going to have a bunch of sides going on at Thanksgiving. So we're going to start with this. So we have our sweet potato, we have our butter, 3 eggs go in here. These are going to be our binder, and I have a half a cup of evaporated milk. Kind of thin it out just a little bit. And you're gonna wanna put sugar in this, obviously, because you want it sweet. So I usually do about 3/4 of a cup, 3/4 to a full cup, depending on your sweetness level. You know, it sounds like a lot, but again, it's making a 13 by 9. And this is the holidays, and we're not judging. There's extra sugar, and there's extra deliciousness, and we're going with it. So all this in here. Tablespoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice. So this is usually about half a lemon, give or take. That's probably a little bit more than a tablespoon, but I love it. Like the lemon juice in here just gives it like a really bright flavor, and it's really good with all of the sweetness going on in here. So I'm gonna do a little split. I never measure my vanilla. About a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. Why not? And we're gonna do a teaspoon of cinnamon. Right in there, and about a half a teaspoon of salt. I also really never measure salt. I just kind of like eyeball it. Mini palmful. There we go. Now, just gonna mix all this stuff together here. Hopefully I don't make too much of a disaster. Okay, so I just lightly sprayed this. It doesn't have to be crazy, just, you know, just so it help it not stick, but look at that, yummy, super thick. It's good. It's gonna be nice and sweet, but again, like just that little bit of lemon juice it gives it such a good flavor. It's awesome. So this is where, if you're making a traditional sweet potato casserole, you'd put it in the oven just like this for about 20 minutes. And then the last few minutes is when you add the marshmallows on there. So for my version, I'm gonna spread all this out, you want a nice even layer. I do a crumble topping. So it's like if you have like a fruit crumble, you have like the flour, butter, sugar, oats topping. So I do that, and I put pumpkin spice in there, and it just gives it like a really good spicy, crunchy topping. So all about the texture. And it's not as sweet as a marshmallow topping, so it's a good alternative. Now, for my topping, let me bring this over. So I've got my lovely sweet potatoes here. For my topping, all of my ingredients are all in here. So I'm gonna link all of the measurements and everything, so don't worry, but I have basically a 1/4 cup of sugar, brown sugar, oats, and chopped either walnuts or pecans, whatever you have. I put in 3/4 of a cup of flour, just all-purpose flour, and I have a little bit of salt and my pumpkin spice flavoring. So we got this going on. Actually, let me grab a fork and mix this up first. I was like not prepared for this today. So just a quick light mix. So it's all combined. And then we're gonna put in our butter. Now, for this crumble topping, you could definitely put in the food processor if you want to. Just throw everything in the food processor and pulse it until everything is combined. I don't feel like it's necessary to dirty and have to wash a food processor to just crumble butter into the topping. It only takes a couple minutes, so I just do it by hand. So here we got all of our other ingredients here. This is when you're gonna wanna take off your rings people. Let me get these out of the way. Okay, so I have 1 stick of cold butter. I diced it up just to kind of get it started. So it goes right in here. And you can use like a pastry cutter too if you want to, but I mean, there's no need. Just use your hands, it's fine. So you just want to combine everything, and it just takes a couple minutes. So the best way to do this is to just take like the little pieces of butter and kind of like mash them, like roll them in with your fingers like this. And you just basically keep doing this until you have combined all of the butter. You're gonna have like little tiny bits of butter all in with all the sugar and the spices and the oats and everything, so it makes it like a crumbly topping. So I'm gonna mix this all together and combine it, and you're looking for like just like a rough sandy texture, which only takes like a minute or 2. Okay, so I mixed all of my crumble topping by hand. It took me, I mean, like 3 minutes. So just crumble this up, rinse my hands. They're gonna get dirty again, but that's okay. So this is the kind of texture that you want. It's kind of like just wet, crumbly, sandy. There's still little chunks of butter in there, that's fine, because everything is gonna melt and toast up in the oven. It's gonna be really good. So we're just going to sprinkle it over the top of the casserole in a nice little even layer. Dun, dun, dun. So the first time I made this, I ended up taking this to our friend's house that we went to several years ago, and they keep kosher on the holidays, so they are not able to have any dairy at the dinner if they have meat. So I had to kind of come up with a different topping. So, you know, marshmallows are not kosher. So I used a different kind of evaporated milk in there to, you know, stay away from the dairy. I used kosher butter. And I decided, all right, let me just do this crumble topping instead. And everybody loved it. So the host, our friend, there was like 25 people at their house, and we're all eating dinner, and he yells my name across 25 people, and everyone basically gets silent. He turns to me and he has a big fork full of this, and he's like, "This is amazing." And everyone just starts laughing. So everyone was like, "It is amazing." So it is good. It's good to like, this is a dish where it's like familiar enough where everyone knows, but it's gonna be like a nice surprise. So everyone's gonna be willing to try it because it's nothing too out of the ordinary. It's just a little change up, which is good. So look at this, is a perfect amount. It's a nice little even layer. Look at that. Okay, so this is gonna be, let me just, it's good with the nuts in there. Obviously, if you have people with nut allergies, you can leave the nuts out. Totally fine. Now, I'm gonna bake this 350, 20-25 minutes. I just want, excuse me, the eggs and everything to cook through. And you want the top to get nice and crunchy. So depending on your oven, at the end, if you want, you can always switch it to the broil for just a couple minutes just to kind of help toast the top. So I'm gonna come back and show you guys how this turns out. Okay, so we are back. The casserole is done. I baked mine for, I would say about 27 minutes, if we're being accurate. I had put it in there for 25. I checked it, I put it in there for a couple more, and then the last couple minutes after that, I switched it over to a broil to make sure that the top was nice and golden and a little crunchy. Still hot. Let me show you guys. It's like a fruit crumble and sweet potato casserole had a baby. And I'm gonna attempt to take a taste. It's super hot and I will probably burn my mouth, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Going for this corner right here. Oh. It's like sugary and crunchy with the nuts on the top. Oh my goodness. Look at that bite, dude. It's steaming. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's so good. All right. Wish me luck. Hope I don't burn my tongue off. Mmm. Mmm. Oh. Oh yeah. The crunch from the topping is so good. And this is, I actually prefer this to the marshmallows. Like I'm remembering the marshmallows are good, but this almost makes it like the crunch and the nuts and the spice, the pumpkin spice in here, it tones down the sweetness, and also with that lemon juice, because sometimes sweet potato casserole is, I mean, so good, but it's like overly sweet, and this is like perfect. It's perfect. Oh man. It's hot. That's so good. Okay, you guys. If anyone wants to try this, I'm gonna put the link, and you guys can hop over to the blog and get the recipe. And hope you have a delicious turkey day.